السلام عليكم. السلام عليكم. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Right, let's start. Right, can you see the presentation? Hello. السلام عليكم. شباب شايفين البرزنتيشن؟ شايفين الباوربوينت؟
شايفينه بس
طيب.
هو
طيب السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Today, hello students, dear students. Today, inshallah, we're going to discuss a new unit on New Hello, Unit 8. The title of the unit is Robots, and the grammar lesson is the Conditional Sentences. Today with you, Mr. Ayman Mahmoud. As we know, the conditional sentences is composed of two parts. The first part is a condition, which is the if clause. The second part is the result, اللي هو the main clause. So we have if clause, which contains the condition, and the main clause that contains the result. For example, if it rains tomorrow, we will not come. If it rains tomorrow, this is the condition. And the condition which comes after if. So it's the if clause. Will not come is the main clause, okay? The order of the two clauses is flexible. Yani you can change them. It's not important which one comes first. But if the if clause comes first, it must be followed by a comma. يعني في السنتنس دي كده I'll stay at home if it rains. We do not have to put comma because if is in the middle of the sentence. But if I say if it rains, if I begin with if it rains, comma, you must put comma, I'll stay at home. The types of the if conditionals, there are four types of conditional sentences. They are classified according to the degree of probability, as we know. In four types, each type of conditional sentences use different tenses, as we know, to show the difference in the degree of probability. The first type is zero conditional. In zero conditional, we can use when instead of if. Yani you can say if or when plus present simple, and the result or the main clause is also in the present simple. For example, water boils if it reaches 100 degrees, or if water reaches 100 degrees, it boils, okay? And you can also use when and say water boils when it reaches 100 degrees. The first conditional, if or unless, present and future. يعني the if clause will be in the present. تمام? Present simple, or you can put it in the present perfect, and you can use the present continuous, but it's not common. And the other sentence, which is the main clause or the result, will be in the future, will plus infinitive. If I study, I'll pass the exam. okay? Or unless I study, I'll not pass the exam. Or I'll pass the exam if I study. The second conditional, if plus past simple, and the main clause will be would plus infinitive. For example, if I studied, I would pass, or I would pass the exam if I studied, or unless I studied, I would not pass the exam. The third conditional, if past perfect, which is had plus past participle, and the main clause or the result will be would have past participle. This is general idea about the forms, and now we'll talk about them in details. Any question before we start in details? Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Let's start with the zero conditional. Tense is present tense or present simple in both clauses. Okay, whether the if clause or the main clause. يعني the condition or the result will be in the present simple. Example, if you heat water to 100 degrees, it boils. If you heat water to 100 degrees or 100 Celsius, it boils. Okay. If you pour oil into water, it floats. Okay. Heat and pour are present tense, and boils and floats are present tense. Okay. لكن الsentences اللي comes after if اللي هو اللي فيها الcondition. The condition, you heat water to 100 degrees. What is the result? It boils. Okay. لاحظوا معايا أنا بتكلم هنا in general. If you heat water in general, I'm not talking about specific water or a specific quantity of water or a specific time or a specific place. No, I'm talking generally. If you heat water in general to 100 degrees, it always boils. Okay? There is no probability. لا ده دايما بيحصل. It's a fact. It's a truth. If you pour oil into water, it always floats. مفيش حد فينا expect something different. Okay? So it's a zero conditional. The use of the zero conditional to talk about universal truth, as we said. If you heat ice in general, it turns into water in general. I'm not talking about a special condition, ظروف معينة, weather conditions مثلا, or a specific piece of ice, or a specific time, or a specific place. No, I'm talking about universal truth. If you heat ice in general, it always turns into water. The second usage of the zero conditional to give commands, like if you are tired, go to bed. In this case, the verb in the main clause is an imperative. If you are tired, go to bed. بعض الكتب عشان ما نبقاش متلخبطين بتحط اليوسج ده مع الفيرست كونديشنال. مفيش مشكله لان هو في النهايه انا بتكلم عن كومنز. تمام؟ والريزلت مش محطوطه في تنس معين، فبالتالي ممكن اقول ان دي في الزيرو كونديشنال او في الفيرست، في النهايه هي كيس منفصله يعني. If you are tired, go to bed. Okay? Give comments. الفيرست كونديشنال the if clause will be present simple. if clause دي السنتنس اللي فيها الكونديشن، السنتنس اللي comes after if أو with if يعني. The main clause اللي هي result will be future tense, will plus infinitive. But we can use, instead of will, you can use may, we can use can, we can also use shall and should and might, okay, and must. If I feel sick tomorrow, I will not go to school, or I cannot go to school. I may not go to school. I should not go to school. I must not go to school. All of them are right. If I feel sick tomorrow, I will not go to school. If it rains, the match will be canceled. أو can be cancelled, should be cancelled, all of them are right. So the sentence that comes after if is present simple, and the other sentence is in the future, will plus infinitive. بس لاحظوا معايا برضو mind if I feel sick tomorrow I'm not talking generally. مش بتكلم ان عموما لو حسيت ان انا مرهق مش بروح المدرسة تاني يوم. لو كان ده كنت استخدمت ال zero conditional. But I'm talking about tomorrow. I'm talking about tomorrow. If I feel sick tomorrow, I'll not go to school tomorrow. I'm not talking generally, so I didn't use the zero conditional. We use the first conditional to speak about possible or probable future events. Possible or probable, not general. If the weather is as sunny tomorrow as it was today, we will go surfing. أنا مش بتكلم إن عموما لما بيكون الجو مشمس أنا go surfing. لا, I'm talking about tomorrow. So there is a specific time, في وقت محدد, or a specific place, okay, or a specific person, not general. Also, we use the first conditional to make promises or warnings. If you forget my birthday, I'll not speak to you again. Okay, now I'm talking about a specific birthday, the coming birthday. So if that happens, that you forget my birthday, I decide that I'll not speak to you again. I'm not talking generally. I'm talking about a specific time, as we said. We also use unless instead of if, but in negative conditionals. يعني unless equals what? Equals if not. Unless we recycle more, we want to have a better word. Unless we recycle more. That means if we don't recycle more. Unless we recycle means what? If we don't recycle. So unless equal if not. Please unmute your mics and answer with me. This is exercise 1 about first conditionals. Number 1, if you space not come, you space miss the show. Okay, anyone can answer?
Yes.
Huh? Okay, your name?
Yes. Farah.
Farah. Okay.
If you don't come,
If you
will
don't come, you will miss. Great. Right. Could you write on the chat? Could you write on the chat in order not to waste our time? So Rawan,
Okay.
Rawan also answered the same answer. If you don't come, you will miss the show. Great. All of you are right. Thank you. The second sentence. Space. John space by a car if he get a job. Huh? Please answer. Will buy? No. Wow, will buy. Yes, yes. John will buy a car if Rawan. Anyone else? Will buy gets. Will buy go Farah, Rida, Noor, Arafat. Thank you. Great. John will buy a car if he gets a job. You can also say John can buy a car or may buy a car. Okay. Thank you. Will buy and gets. Number 3. Mary space get a toothache if she eats too much sweets. Mary. Mary will get a toothache if she or may get, تمام, eats. Great. Will get if eats. تمام. The second conditional. Thank you, Rawan, Farah, and all of you. Thank you. طيب. The second conditionals, and who else? And Selma. Okay, thank you. طيب. The second conditional. الأول نتفق إن the first conditional with zero conditional are related to each other. تمام؟ Because in the zero conditional I'm talking about a truth, a general action. Okay? لكن في الفيرست conditional I am talking about a probable action. في الحالتين أنا بتكلم على حاجة محتمل إنها تحصل إما بوجه عام أو النهاردة أو بكرة أو مع شخص معين. لكن السكند والثيرد مختلفين because the second and the third I'm talking about an action which is not happening. حاجة مختلفة عن الواقع أو مختلفة عن اللي حصل. يعني في السكند conditional the tense is past tense after if past tense. The main clause would plus infinitive, and we can also say instead of would we can say could or might or should. Okay, would, could, might, should. هنلاحظ هنا ان might و should موجودة في الفيرست conditional والسكند conditional. Okay, for example, if I were a bird I would fly across the harbor. If I were a bird, am I a bird or he? Is he a bird? No, he isn't a bird. So I'm talking about something which is unlikely to happen, مش محتمل يحصل, or improbable to happen, or أصلا untrue. If he were a bird, he is not a bird. So I'm talking about something which is not true, حاجة مش في الواقع أصلا. And he would fly across the harbor. السنتنس هنا معناها إيه؟ معناها he isn't a bird, so he can't fly across the harbor. لكن أنا بهزي كده مع نفسي بتخيل حاجة لو كان طائر كان لف حوالي. أنا دي حاجة مش حقيقية أصلا. عشان كده بستخدم السكند conditional because the second conditional is used to talk about something which is impossible to happen in the present أو untrue أو unlikely to happen in the present, improbable to happen in the present, and so on. If I had $200,000, if I had $200,000, now I would buy a car. That means I don't have $200,000. Okay, and that means I will not buy a car. الحاجتين أصلا أنا بتخيلهم عكس الواقع. I don't have money وبقول if I had money. I will not buy a car وبقول I would buy a car. Okay. So were and had in the past tense. Would fly, would buy, would plus infinitive, قلنا أو could أو might أو should plus infinitive. Okay. The use of the second conditional, as we said, to speak about present and the future. Present and the future what? Situation which are unlikely to happen, يعني improbable to happen. If I had any money, had هنا is in the past simple, okay, not past perfect. Had is a past form of have, مفيش مشكلة. If I had any money, I would lend it to you. ليه unlikely to happen? That means I do not expect to have any money. I do not have any money أصلا. So I'll not lend you any. ده الكونديشن هنا عكس الواقع خالص. الواقع I don't have any money واللي بتخيله ان I had any money. Had هنا past simple and it's called in English grammar unreal past. Unreal ماضي مش حقيقي، ماضي تخيلي، ماضي تمني. ف if I had any money I would lend it to you. If I were you, I'm not you. أنا مش أنت أصلا. أقول if I were you, I wouldn't do this. That means I am not you, so I will not do this. ده الواقع إن I am not you و I will not do this. بتخيل عكس الواقع. If I were you, I would not do this. Okay. Mind were is often used instead of was. أكيد إحنا عارفين إن I مفترض was. I, he, she, it, was. يعني الفيرست بيرسون pronoun اللي هو I يبقى was والسكند بيرسون pronoun في السنجلر he أو she أو it بتبقى was. لكن in the second conditional you can use were instead of was. Okay, were is often used instead of was in the first and third person singular. تمام؟ يعني if I was you مش غلط. Okay, لكن we can also use were. Okay. The third conditional. Now we will try to make a comparison between the second conditional and the third conditional because they are related somehow to each other. The tense in the third conditional is after if clause, we use the past perfect. Okay, past perfect, which is had plus past participle. And the main clause would be would have past participle. And we can use instead of would, we can say might or could. Okay. If I had enough money, I would have bought the camera yesterday. had is the past perfect of have. had الأولى دي اللي هي الأكسلري الفعل المساعد بتاعي، وهاد التانية هي الباست participle of have. لو كان الفيرب جات كنت قلت had got. لو كان study كنت قلت had studied. هو لأن الفيرب have we say had. So if we had enough money I would have bought the camera yesterday. طيب now that means I don't have enough money or I didn't have enough money. The reality that I don't have enough money or I didn't have enough money. Can you answer on the chatting? The reality is I don't have or I didn't. Excellent. Farah Rida. Great. I didn't have, so I used the past perfect, which is had. لو كان reality I don't have enough money تمام كنت استخدمت second conditional which is if I had بس enough money. Okay. So الواقع هنا بيقول ايه؟ I didn't have enough money so I didn't buy the camera. الموضوع عدى اصلا، انا ما كانش معايا فلوس فما اشتريتش الكاميرا. فانا دلوقتي بتخيل حاجه عكس اللي حصلت اصلا، مش عكس الحقيقه، مش عكس الواقع، عكس الماضي. اوكي. روان ايمن I don't understand the difference. اوكي بص يا روان او بص كلكم، الفرق بين السكند كونديشنال والثيرد كونديشنال ايه؟ السكند كونديشنال بتقول انت بتفترضي حاجه عكس الواقع، لكن الثيرد كونديشنال بتفترضي حاجه عكس اللي حصلت. اوكي. يعني انا النهارده قابلت واحد صاحبي تمام، فبقول له يا خساره والله انا لو كان معايا العربيه دلوقتي انا كنت وصلتك. انا بتخيل حاجه عكس الحقيقه اللي قدامي، الواقع اني مش معايا عربيتي فبالتالي انا مش هقدر اوصلك. فبتخيل عكس الواقع، لو كان معايا عربيتي كنت وصلتك. This is the second conditional. ليه؟ لاني بتخيل عكس الحقيقه اللي قدامي. لكن تاني يوم بقى وبعد ما اروح اقول خساره والله ده انا قابلت صاحبي، خلاص قابلته وما كانش معايا عربيتي، فلو كان معايا عربيتي كنت قدرت اوصله. هنا انا بتخيل عكس اللي حصل. يبقى في السكند كونديشنال بتخيل عكس الواقع اللي قدامي. في الثيرد كونديشنال بتخيل عكس اللي حصل خلاص وعدى. اوكي. دلوقتي انت عاجبك دريس فمش معايا فلوس اشتريه. اوكي. دلوقتي لو معايا فلوس كنت دلوقتي قدرت اشتريه. انت بتتخيلي عكس الواقع. This is the second conditional. فتقولي if I had enough money I would buy this dress. لكن بعد ما تروحي البيت بقى وتقولي انا لو كان معايا فلوس كفايه كنت قدرت اشتريه. This is the third conditional. فهتقولي if I had enough money I would have bought that dress. Is it clear روان؟ اوكي تمام. You're welcome. طيب if I had enough money I would have bought the camera yesterday. I'm talking about yesterday. حاجة different from the past. تمام؟ طيب if I had come home earlier I would not have missed the program. If I had come that means I didn't come. مش I don't come. I didn't come home earlier so I missed the program. الواقع ان انا ما جيتش متاخر ولا حاجه. تمام. فبالتالي سوري ما جيتش بدري ولا حاجه، يعني جيت متاخر. فبالتالي I missed the program. فبتخيل بقى لو كنت جيت بدري ما كانش فاتني البروجرام. If I had come home earlier I would not have missed the program. Okay, is it clear? روان تمام؟ روان وفرح. Okay, تمام. I hope you all participate with me. The third conditional usage, number one, to speak about impossible past events. Impossible. ليه impossible? Because it's past. Okay? Not impossible in itself زي second conditional. في second conditional كنت بقول if I were you. It's impossible to be you. فهي impossible in itself. هو مستحيلة في ذاتها. لكن في third conditional it's impossible because it's past. يعني if they had gone by bus they would have arrived much later. That means they didn't go by bus. So they didn't arrive later. Okay? تمام. They didn't go by bus. This is a reality. He would have traveled around the world. But it may happen now. Okay, we are not talking about now, Rawan. We are not talking about now. احنا بنتكلم عن past event. سواء هو probable to happen now or not, we are not talking about it. Okay? عادي جدا انه يحصل now or in the future. We are not talking about it. تمام. He would have traveled around the world if he had more money. That means he didn't travel around the world. Why? Because he didn't have more money. This is the reality. الواقع انه ولا سافر حول العالم ولا حاجه لانه ما كانش معاه فلوس. فبتخيل هو كان هيسافر حوالين العالم لو كان معاه فلوس. He would have traveled around the world if he had more money. Okay? That is impossible to change. ليه impossible to change يا مستر؟ ما هو ممكن يبقى معاه فلوس. اوكي هو impossible to change because he didn't have the money. خلاص الموضوع عدى. يعني هو مستحيل ان اقول ان هو سافر. اوكي؟ خلاص لانه ما سافرش. فانا مستحيل يكون الفعل حصل لكن مش معناه انه مستحيل يحصل. تمام؟ اوكي. Exercise 2, all of you please try to answer with me, all of you. If I space 4 years, I space to play the piano. At first, يعني decide to use the second conditional or the third conditional. We are not talking about the past, so it's second. محمد فتحي شاف الإجابة أصلا. مش كده؟ Okay. طيب if I second, yes روان second. So if I, what is the answer? محمد فتحي said you were. Okay. If I were 4 years old, I حبيبة بيومي would learn. Excellent. If I were 4 years old, I would learn. ماشي يا محمد. تمام؟ طيب لو السنتنس كانت if I had been 4 years old كانت الانسر would have learned. تمام؟ If I space not fail in the examination, my mother space. My mother space. We have the verb boy. If I space not fail in the examination, my mother space. Huh? Hadn't failed فرح وحبيبه بيومي would boy. طبعا don't mix. اوكي لو على اجابه فرح هنقول hadn't failed my mother would have bought. صح. واجابه حبيبه would boy يبقى if I didn't fail. اوكي اما انه ال two sentences يبقوا يبقوا the second conditional او الاثنين يبقوا third conditional. So the answer If I had not failed, my mother would have bought. Right. If I hadn't failed the examination, my mother would have bought me a new computer. ايه الرياليتي؟ ايه اللي حصل فعلا؟ اللي حصل فعلا اني I failed the exam. فبالتالي my mother didn't buy. I failed وهي didn't buy. So if I had not failed, my mother would have bought. طيب. We space finish if we space better preparation. Rawan would finish, we would finish if we had, okay, would finish if we had, or would have finished if we had. We would have finished if we had better examination. So the conditional sentences, we have some other connectors. دي كده يعني extra information. We have some other connectors like unless, which means if not. If you don't phone John, he will not, he will get very angry. That means unless you phone John, he will get very angry. Unless can replace if in negative conditions, as we said. We have other connectors like provided or provided that, providing that, with the condition that, or as long as, or in case. All of these equal if, especially in the first conditional. So you can say with the condition that you sleep on the couch. السنتنس اصلا ممكن تبقى you can stay if you sleep on the couch. So you can say if or with the condition that. I'll go to the party as long as you go there too. You can say as long as or if. I'll go to the party if you go there too. We have also imagine, suppose, or supposing that. Imagine that you won £1,000,000. What would you do? دي تنفع تبقى if you won £1,000,000, what would you do? Or suppose you won £1,000,000, what would you do? Or supposing that you won £1,000,000, what would you do? Okay. Even if, equal if also. تمام. In case equals if, but with a slight different meaning. Take an umbrella if it rains. Or take an umbrella in case it rains. نقول المعنى بسرعة كده الفرق ما بينهم. If it rains, take an umbrella. If it rains يعني إذا مطرت أنا هاخد الأمبريلا. لكن take an umbrella in case it rains يعني خد الأمبريلا يمكن الدنيا تمطر. Okay؟ يعني هنا take the umbrella can before raining ده مع in case. لكن مع if يبقى taking the umbrella will be after raining if it happens يعني. تمام؟ تعال على طول ناخد exercises كمان عشان وقتنا. We have only 5 minutes. يلا بينا بسم الله. Identifying conditionals. Choose the correct answer. Okay. Number 1. If I drink tea in the morning, it makes me feel sick. Is it zero conditional, first, second, or third? Zero, great. Why zero? Because أولاً we have present simple, grammatically, شكلاً. طيب, with the meaning, if I drink tea in the morning عموماً, مش this morning, مش tomorrow, okay? مش now, مش today, لا, in the morning. It makes me feel sick. It always makes me feel sick. يبقى أنا هنا دي fact بالنسبة لي أنا إذا شربت شاي الصبح ببقى تعبان طول اليوم. مش النهارده. Okay? تمام. The second one. I'll tell her if she comes. Zero, first, second, third. This is the first condition. Great, Maryam and Rawan. and حبيبة. First conditional طبعا grammatical الموضوع واضح جدا. Okay, إن comes present simple and will tell future simple, so it's a first conditional. But we have also a different meaning, so we use the first conditional, not zero. If she comes, I mean if she comes today, I'll tell her. بس يا مستر ما فيش هنا today ولا now ولا حاجة. اوكي بس هي مش ممكن دي تكون fact ان هي كل ما بتيجي انا بحكي لها. طب بحكي لها ايه؟ I'm talking about a special or a specific matter. So if she comes, I will tell her. ده ممكن نسميه threat, تهديد مثلا أو promise. Okay. The third one, if I were you, I would buy it as soon as possible. It's yes, second, because after if I used the past simple, great. روان وآلاء وسلمى. If I were you, it's past simple. I would buy would plus infinitive. لكن كمان كmeaning, if I were you, I am not you. الواقع I am not you. Okay, I'm just imagining that I were you. I would buy it. That means I am not you, so I will not buy. الواقع I will not buy. If I had the time, I would help you. Third conditional, no. أنا حاطط السؤال وعايز حد يقول لي third عشان أشرح حاجة. فبرافو يا حبيبي إن أنت قلت third عشان عايز أقول حاجة. هو had بس مش معناها إن هي third conditional. تمام؟ had should be followed by past participle to say that it's a third conditional. لكن if I had هنا هي الباست فورم من have. زي ما بقول if I worked الباست فورم من work. if I studied الباست فورم من study. if I won الباست فورم من win. فهنا had الباست فورم من have not had. كمان بعد كده I would help you. لو كان third conditional كنت قلت I would have helped you. I would have helped you. يبقى أنا عايز أقول مش automatically مجرد إن أنا عندي had في ال if clause يبقى دي third conditional. وبرضه مش automatically إن أنا عندي would have في المين clause تبقى دي ال third conditional. لازم would have و past participle كمان. So it's second conditional. I would have done things differently if I had been the manager. If I had been the manager. تمام? So zero, first, second, third grade would have done and had been. Thank you all of you. Okay. طيب. If you work hard ممكن نقول different questions كده before we end our session. نقول some different questions. ها؟ يلا بينا. If they had listened, they space understand. We have only 2 minutes, okay, before we finish. Would had listened, not would understand. No. Would. We have had listened. It's past perfect. So they would have understood. Would have understood. Great, Habiba. طيب. If he hadn't worn the helmet, his face injured. If he hadn't worn, would have been thing. Number 3, if he speak clearly, people would understand him. Would understand. So it's a second or third. Would understand. Spoke. Great, Salma. Great, Mariam. Great, Habiba. Second, great, Rawan. Thank you very much. طيب, that's all for now. That's enough for now. I hope you have benefited from the session and also enjoyed it. Do you have any questions?
مستر هو أنا لسه متلخبطة بين السكند والثيرد برضه.
السكند والثيرد انا ممكن مع مور براكتسنج، لكن قبل ما نقفل انا بقول لك ان السكند كونديشنال انا بتكلم في حاجه عكس الحاجه الواقعيه. يعني ابسط حاجه خالص. You are in secondary 1. Okay, So لو هفترض حاجة مختلفة عن ده I'll use the second conditional. I'll say if you were in secondary 2. أنا بتخيل حاجة مش واقعية خالص، واخدة بالك من ده؟ اوكي، أنا بتخيل حاجة مش واقعية خالص. This is the second conditional. لكن الثيرد conditional بقى أنت سبتي سؤال خلاص.